Yo, my name is DJ Vinny Boombox, and today I'm going to show you how to make these rave stabs from my song. Alright, so this is my latest song, Seraph.exe, and I have these awesome bass stabs right in the beginning. So let's solo them up and hear what they sound like by themselves. This is what they sound like by themselves. And this rave stab consists of a lot of different layers. So let's go through all of them. So first we have this layer, which is like your traditional rave stab layer. And how I made this sound was pretty easy actually. I downloaded this plugin called Rave Generator 2. And so it has a bunch of different sounds. And I landed on this sound, which I combined using these two sounds from the bank. So it sounds like this. And so that's the first layer. And then this is the second layer. So this layer is also from the same plugin. And this is the preset I'm using. It sounds like this. And then this is the third layer. So this layer I made in Serum. And it's an easy patch. It's just a saw wave. A saw wave with some EQ, which is kind of low end, honestly, and a little bit of highs, and multi-brand compression. And that's all this layer is. And oh, I have some unison and some detune on there too, so it sounds a little wider, a little more full. That's all that layer is. And then I have this mid-bass layer. So I think this is just a preset from like a very old Martin Garrix tutorial on YouTube. But this it's a mid-bass preset. And it sounds like that. And this preset is basically just a saw. We have this tri-saw here too as well. A saw and then a pulse wave as well. But that's all this preset sounds like. Pretty simple preset. Looks like there's a lot going on, but it's really not that complicated. And then last but not least, we have the sub. So this sub was also made in Serum. And it's a pretty easy sub. Just a sine wave. And then this is automating the pitch of the sine wave. So if you increase this a lot, you can hear the pitch more. And so I'll just put it back. And so I'll land on this. That punchiness. And then all I did for the effects is this is what it sounds like without the effects. Alright, and then I added distortion. A little bit of tube distortion. If you go too much on the distortion, you'll get a very like saw style distortion. But if you channel it down just a little bit, you get a nice full distortion. And depending on what you want, you could go for the 100% drive too. Just depends on the style you want. And then I have some EQ. Just boosting the lows a little more. I thought they needed a little more, so I boosted them. And so that's all of the layers, which gives you this. And so now I'll just go in and tell you like what I did MIDI-wise, because that's also very important to the rave sound. So I organized this in the most terrible way possible. It's between these two, or the rave stabs are. But this is I don't know. Okay, look like this layer is everything except chord layer. So this is the Rave Generator 2 synth. So this is the first synth. So I'll put it on F. So I believe my track is in F minor. Never mind, my track is in D minor. I remember that. But I put it in F. Because it sounds nice in F. This is it in D. Doesn't sound like the correct chord, so you just gotta be careful with this synth, is that the chord is not always linked to the correct MIDI note, and that's just because of how they made, like, what notes they use in the stab, in the chord, what notes are used in the chord. So this is on F, and then this should be this next layer. Yeah. So this is the next layer. I put it on D. And this one sounds good on D. And then what I did in the second half of the drop is I put it on A. And so this is what the Rave slabs sound like in the first part of the drop. Alright, and this is how they sound on the second half of the drop. So it's like more high, the pitch is slightly different. It's a small change, but it makes it sound more high energy. Keeps the energy up in the second half of the drop. So that's why I did that for the second Rave stab. And the mid bass, pretty easy. Following the roots. And the same with the Rave sub. Rave sub is also following the roots. So that's pretty easy. And then we have right here, this is our chord layer. And so you see this saw wave patch that I made in Serum is like super simple, and the chords I even use are very simple. Just simple triads, and they work to fill in the space. So this is what it sounds like without this layer and with this layer. You see how it brings like more presence in the high end and just kind of makes it sound more full. And so now we'll get into the effects of these Rave stabs. So with all effects turned off, it sounds like this. Very dull, very muddy, very mushy. And so I'll explain what all these effects do. So first we'll have the individual layers. All they have is EQ. And this EQ is just a remove low end. So if I get rid of this, you hear that low end that's in there. We want to get rid. We don't want that. That will clash with our sub and our mid bass. So we're gonna get rid of that. So doing that, and then this is just to give space to the other layers. This is what it sounds like without this EQ. And so what I'm doing is I'm removing some of the highs, because you don't want too much high end clashing together. And then I'll also remove this peak right here. Makes it less muddy. And that's also where our mid bass sits, so it's not going to clash with that at all. And so this is the second layer. Second layer, same thing going on. We're just removing this low end. And then we're carving out space for the other layers. And so I cut the highs again. And then also removed a little peak in the 200 hertz area. And then we have our third Rave stab. Again, same thing. This one really doesn't have high end that much, but you can tell there's low end frequencies leaking in when it's clicking. So we're just gonna get rid of that. Nice and easy. And then this one I remove the mids. That sounds too boxy in the mids with everything else. So I remove that. And then I'm boosting this 3000 hertz area because that's very sensitive to us. And so by boosting it, I'm kind of accentuating these frequencies in the chord. So without. So you hear the difference. And then this is high end boost. Add more presence. So this layer really deals with our high end. And then these two layers deal with our mid range frequencies. That's why I dipped this out. Give space to the other two rave stabs. And then I have the mid bass. Super easy. Just getting rid of that sub frequency. And then our sub has nothing on it. Don't need anything on the sub, so I left it there. And now we have all our effects. So I'll explain what all of these effects do. So the first thing I always love to do in like all my sounds is add a Maximus. And I like to use the Clear Master RMS preset. It's a very nice preset. And then I turn the post down and it sounds like this. It's a really nice plugin to just like glue everything together. And then I added OTT, just at 51% depth. So these two plugins right here are how I like to like glue my sound and like kind of master them before I master the whole song. That makes sense. So that's what I'm doing there. And then I'm adding something called a fat rack. And I found this online. There's a patcher preset called a fat rack, and the person who made it has like made different presets. And I wish I remember who made this, but honestly, oh, maybe. All right, so this guy made it right here. And it's a really good fat rack. I use it a lot. And honestly, I have nothing on it. None of these knobs are turned up. But as you can see, it sounds fatter and fuller. And yeah, I just like it a lot. And I think the preset I used was this Bass Crusher preset. So the presets change a little bit with which preset you pick. Like the effects change a little bit. So I'm using that preset, and with nothing on, no knobs turned up. Already sounds fatter. Sounds glued together. It has a nice distortion to it. And then I'm not using this, but this is a like a Saturn II replacement, free replacement. But I'm not using it, so I'm not gonna put it on. And then I have these two plugins, which you'll hear right here in this little like turnaround section. So I'm using a patcher preset to just turn all this on and off. And what I have is an EQ to cut out the lows. If we don't want the lows that are in our little turnaround section. I have reverb on it. I have a delay bank. And I have a fruity balance. And it's just boosting the volume slightly. That this down a little quiet in this turnaround section. So that's why I boosted the volume just slightly. And so that's what that's for. And then a tape stop, obviously, when this is over. There's a tape stop. So that's what I'm using on that. And then this EQ is just for the breakdown of the song. So if you come to this section of the song. Actually, I don't even know if I'm using that EQ, to be honest. I thought I was, but I think I'm just using... Yeah, I might just not be using this EQ at all, which is funny. But yeah, that's how I made these Rave stabs. And so the Rave stabs, what they sound like in the intro, sounds like this. So again, they're just using the same, looks like they're using the same turnaround preset that I use, the same patcher preset that I'm using. And then I just add them in the build up as well. And that's how I did it. And then in the second drop, I switch them up slightly because the second drop changes. So this is what the second drop sounds like. Let me turn the sidechain on. There we go. So the arrangement does change. So I use the same first stabs, but then they change in rhythm. So this is the rhythm they have. Let me turn the sidechain back off, sorry. And the rhythm changes because I have a different bass that's playing, which is this bass right here. So I'm just following that rhythm. And so that's all I'm doing with the Rave stabs in this song. So definitely play around with your rhythm and arrangement with your Rave stabs. But now I want to move into a new project and just create another Rave stab from scratch for y'all to show y'all kind of what my process is to create Rave stabs. So, the new project. Let's say these Rave stabs, let's say E minor. So that's E minor. Remove this limiter. So first thing I want to do is get the tone of my Rave stab using Rave Generator 2. We're going to find a good, nice tone for E. And you just honestly just go around and mess around with the sound. And I like to have a little reference chord. So it sounds like E here. And so this preset already sounds good. So I'm going to keep that. That'll be my main sound. And then I might look around and see what other sounds there are as well. This one's just not. What is house stab? Or James Brown? What's James Brown? That's an interesting stab. Let's try LA style. Alright, let's pick Lost in House. What's this one? Move your body. Incubus. Let's see what Incubus sounds like. It's like a major sounding stab. You want a minor sounding stab. Alright, this one could sound cool if I combine it with like what's this? Combine some layers. There we go. Let's turn this down. Maybe no, not this. And you can play around with the start of the thing. But you can also play around with oh. Oh, I thought you could play around with the ADR, but maybe not. I can't remember. But that's what that sounds like. That sounds good. And then we'll put this voice up. But it's in the wrong. Tune up 5. And then put this on. There we go. So we have this and this. So now I'm just going to put it in here. Do something like that just for now. And let's see how these blend together. So that already sounds like a rave stab. And so now let's just go and make our saw synth. And you don't have to do a saw. I just think your saws sound very, very good. And let's do 11 this time. I like to do my that's not detune. I like to do my saws. The unison and odd, because you see when it's on even unison, there's 2 voices in the middle. When it's odd, there's 1. So I think that helps with mono compatibility. Let's switch it. So now we have this saw, and I'm actually gonna add distortion to it. I'm gonna see what that sounds like. Just play around. Maybe a nice little crunch like that. Or we can try overdrive. Go back. Let's go back to 2. It's 2 worked. And then we'll grab compressor, multiband. There we go. And then we'll just put a EQ on there. Just get rid of some low end. And we'll remove more low end in post production, so not too worried about that. Let's put this in here. And you can also experiment with the voicings of your rave stab. So even the octave of it. You do this with the octave third. It always sounds nice. And maybe even something like this. And now we're gonna get our mid bass, and we'll just go create our own mid bass. It's not terribly hard. Generally, mid bass is just low octave saws, just like that. Yeah. And we'll add a little bit of distortion to this. Compressor. Push down. Right. That sounds kind of cool, I guess. Mess around with filters if you want, but yeah, just do whatever you want for your mid bass. You want to sound something similar, something kind of like that, and you can even add something like this. Random turn down. Now you have a nice full sounding mid bass. And then lastly, we'll grab our sub. And a good sub preset is the analog BD Syn. So pretty solid preset. And then again, just add your distortion. Distortion makes the sub sound good. You can experiment with different distortions. Overdrive always sounds good. So it already sounds like a full sounding sub. And so now we're just going to add our pitch, and we're going to also increase our attack a little bit. So we don't get that click. And then we'll modulate this. And make sure you're on envelope. And then your rate. Yeah. You want to shape kind of like this. Maybe attack. Oh, and you can set this. Something kind of like that. I don't want to spend all day on it. And then these are just root notes, so and then now we're just going to take it and we're just going to process them really quick. Plot this in here. And I'll just do a simple little EQ. On all of this. stay down here. And we'll add our effects. Sound Guidizer does sound good. The hate is, I don't understand the hate. I do like Sound Guidizer, so we'll experiment with it on this actually. We'll see if you like it. It already sounds way better, and we haven't even mixed stabs yet. Let's see what Sound Guidizer does. Doesn't even sound that bad. Doesn't even sound that bad. Sounds good. Alright, and then we'll EQ it. And we'll just give it level. So we want this for the main sound. And this is our secondary sound. There we go. And then do some simple high remove from these. And we'll boost the highs low on this. And we'll get rid of the mids on this. I normally use the parametric EQ, but just simple. And so that's how you can create a basic rave stab. Actually, I'm gonna add one more thing, just because this bass crusher preset. Yeah, so it sounds like that. Look how much better that sounds. Just adding this. And I don't know what all goes into making this. Oh, so this like uses a blood overdrive and a camel crusher and some EQ. So you can actually probably make this just camel crusher and some EQs. So, but this is what my rave stab sounds like. Sounds pretty good. So yeah, if you want this FLP, I'll put it in the description for you to have. Here's a template for and stuff. Rave Generator 2 is free, so go and purchase that, or just download it. Not even purchase. It is free. If you don't have Serum, I mean, you can use 3x oscillator. I really didn't do much in Serum. I just used sine waves and some saw waves and like a pulse wave. So super easy sounds. If you don't have Evo Studio, go buy it. What are you doing? But yeah, anyways, this is how you make rave stabs. Super high energy rave stabs for high energy EDM. You can use this for heavy trap or dubstep, rhythm, anything you want to do. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.